Hello everyone, we are reporting to you again live from Helena at the end of another legislative week. We've had a few new bills come up, so we're going to visit with you about those. And of course, remember, we're taking questions, so if you have one on one of the bills we're talking about or another bill, just type it in. We will look for it and we will try to answer it the best we can. So I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea to talk about a couple of new bills that she was working on this week.
Hi everybody, and like Nicole said, we are taking questions. We are told by our Facebook Live coach that we need to try to pause more and ask for your questions because we do have a tendency to whip through these things and let you guys get about your day. So please bear with us as we learn to be better Facebook Livers. But throw your questions out there. We're happy to answer them. And we also hope that our picture isn't a little wonky like it was last week. I'm trying to watch on a computer to make sure we're good. So let us know if anything's wrong with the picture as well. A couple of bills that I will mention real quickly for you all today. The first one we heard was earlier in the week, and it was House Bill 360. And this was carried by Representative Brad Hamlet. And what this bill did was establish SWAMP. Obviously, SWAMP is an acronym, but we use SWAMP to talk about a surface water assessment program that would be run through the Bureau of Mines and Geology here in Montana. You might recall a few weeks ago we talked to you about House Bills 106 and 107 that were carried by Representative Carl Glimm. Both of those bills were also establishing other water monitoring programs, one of which was another SWAMP program. However, both of Representative Glimm's bills also had an appropriation attached to them, meaning that they had to go through the Appropriations Committee and they were asking for money to actually get these programs established and up and running at the at the Bureau of Mines and Geology. Those bills went to the Appropriations Committee and were promptly tabled in the Appropriations Committee because we all know, we've talked about it every week, we're a little short on cash this session, and so nobody is very quick to hand out money to new programs. So what Representative Hamlet was doing was simply creating the framework for a SWAMP program, Surface Water Assessment Program. So there is no fiscal note attached to this bill. What it would do is just create the program within the Bureau, allow them to kind of do whatever work they can do without an appropriation, and hope for, a larger appropriation during the next session. So that bill was heard in the House Natural Resources Committee earlier this week. The second bill was Senate Bill 155, carried by Senator Mike Lang of Malta. We heard this bill yesterday afternoon in the Senate Agriculture, Livestock, and Irrigation Committee, and it had a great hearing. Farm Bureau supported this bill, and what it does is essentially provides consistency in Montana's seed and fertilizer laws. Right now, under current law, fertilizers are all regulated at the state level. So what we did with this bill was include seeds in that so that a local government cannot regulate an agricultural or vegetable seed. It's all regulated at the state level. This provides consistencies because farmers and ranchers obviously use a lot of seed and fertilizer inputs hand in hand. They go together pretty commonly, and so it creates consistencies and efficiencies for them in that they don't have to worry about meeting different regulations county by county. And we also know that in Montana, a lot of times people farm and ranch across multiple county lines. And so it really is a major burden and pretty cost prohibitive to our businesses to have to follow different regulations county by county. And we also think that farmers and ranchers, have to make the best business decisions that they can, utilizing the natural resources available to them on their land and what cropping systems will make best use of those resources. And so we really feel like it's a decision that should be left to the farmers and ranchers themselves. So again, I already messed up because I didn't pause for 30 seconds between the first bill. So we'll take a brief pause here. We don't have any elevator music for you guys. Sorry. But if anybody has any questions so far, please do let us know or pop them up at any time during the video, and we can look on the computer here and make sure we're not missing any of them and get your questions answered. And then Nicole start whenever she wants.
I would just add that Senate Bill 155 is an important bill. Of course, all bills are important, but this one is a really good one. And so I wanted to thank one of our members, Rhonda, who came up and testified in person. She did a great job. And also our Vice President, Cindy, sent a great letter, and probably others of you did that. And remember, legislators love hearing from their constituents. Some of these committees are quite large, some are smaller, and so there are, opportunities for you to not only reach out to just your legislators, but also those on committees making decisions about specific bills.
What was the bill number on the first bill? Oh, it was House Bill 360.
Thanks for the question, Laura. All right. I've just got a couple, one quick one and then one that needs a little bit more explanation. So we'll hop into those. But if you have any questions, feel free to pop them up. Like we keep saying, starting to sound like broken records. But anyways, all right, the first quick bill I'll talk about is House Bill 367 from a new representative, Representative Becky Beard. She brought a bill that will put in a voluntary $1, not fee, that's not the right word, but a $1 option opt-in that you can pay when you buy your conservation license or a combination license. Which of course you need a conservation license in state when you buy a hunting license or fishing license. And that $1 will put into a special account, special revenue account.
She's live too.
She should, Krista. Anyways, this special revenue account would be used specifically for the management of wolves. So the idea here is to be able to allow people who so choose to pay some extra money, even just $1 or any amount that they choose when they're buying a conservation license, to go towards wolf management. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks would then use that special revenue account to contract with USDA Wild Services for management, including flying, lethal measures, and collaring. All important things to make sure that livestock can be under, help control it. There's still a lot of people out in the country who are suffering a lot of losses at the hands of wolves, and so allowing people to get involved in the management by just donating a few bucks here and there is, hopefully a way that we can help manage that. So Fish, Wildlife, and Parks did have a little concern with the way the original bill was written, in that they thought it would threaten their Pittman-Roberts funds somewhat. So they're working with the sponsor and her constituents who brought the bill to come up with a slight amendment which will address that. So we'll keep watching that. The next bill, forgot to pause. As you can see, House Bill 367's description just popped up there on the screen. You can read it yourself. It's a nice short bill, which is great. I'll move to the next one. It's House Bill 319, and it's a road bill. The way it's originally written and introduced, it would have allowed as few as 10 landowners who abut a so-called unidentified road to petition the county commissioners to have that road be declared public. Now that's different than a county road. It would just be, there's difference between public and county roads. Public roads are just not necessarily maintained by the county, but they are for the use by everyone. Of course, when we first saw that, it also set up a process for the county commissioners to go through of notifications and hearings to make sure that people hear about this but are able to object. But if they did not get any objections to that road being declared public, it would automatically be assumed that it was a public road. That worried us, of course, because we need to be able to make sure that roads on farms and ranches, which are not county roads, they're just roads that we use to get around on our own private property, could not be subject to this law. So I was able to visit with the sponsor, Representative Essman, and he clarified that that was not his intention, that this was just supposed to apply to subdivisions. And so a lot of what we do up here isn't just standing up in front of committees and testifying one way or the other. A lot of work is done before the bills are even introduced, and this is an example of that. We were able to visit with him, explain our concerns, and he was gracious enough to work with us on some amendments that we wanted to clarify that this just applies to subdivisions, and also he was gracious enough to add an amendment that made it explicit and very clear that this could in no way apply to any portion of a road outside of the subdivision. With those amendments, we will be able to withdraw our opposition. We watched the bill yesterday. There were a lot of amendments offered, and that caused a lot of confusion amongst the committee. So there's going to be a lot of discussion during executive action on that. As long as the sponsor's amendments go on, we will definitely be able to pull our opposition. A county commissioner from Yellowstone County came up and he had some additional amendments which would further protect farmers and ranchers outside of subdivisions. So we'll see what comes out of that. We'll keep tabs on it. Laura's got a question for us again.
Who should we contact to voice support? Okay, good question. 155. You can feel free to reach out to the members of the Senate Agriculture, Livestock, and Irrigation Committee. You can find the committee list and information on the committees by going to www.leg.mt.gov, and there's a whole sidebar on the left-hand side that will take you to the legislative website. That is the legislative website. It'll take you to the list of committees. If you select, you can select, I think, either legislators, you can select bills and still get there. And you could send an email to any of those senators. If you have questions about that, send us a Facebook message, comment in the links on this, or on the comments on this live video. We would be more than glad to help you find how to email them, or we can also get you set up with the phone grid at the Capitol, that phone number to call in and easily leave a message for any of those senators. So right now it is still just in that committee. That committee still has to take executive action on Senate Bill 155. There is an amendment to that, which I should have mentioned and I didn't, but it was an amendment that we put on the bill at the request of MACO, which is the Montana Association of Counties. And they wanted to have it clear in the bill language that this would not prohibit a local government or a county from still utilizing zoning or planning to, for example, control where you put a facility, or, you can't go farm the city park or something like that. So that is what that amendment clarifies, is that the county government will still be able to do their planning and zoning. And so they will have to put that amendment on during executive action. There, again, isn't a lot of bills in that committee. I think this was the only committee meeting they had this week, and we were the only bill in that committee. So I really expect that they will meet, maybe on Tuesday of next week and take executive action. And so we could see this on the Senate floor as early as late next week. And so we may be reaching out to all of you again to contact your senators all across the state once it hits the Senate floor, and just let them know that we support this bill and what it means for Montana agriculture.
We wanted to give you a heads up on a bill that's coming next week. Mm-hmm. We usually have a lot of tax issues that we're involved in, and this year so far it's been a little quiet. But there is a tax bill coming next week on Wednesday. It's House Bill 27 that I would encourage you all to look at. It's something we're going to be opposing if it does indeed end up with a hearing, which it is scheduled, so it most likely will. What this bill is going to do is change the way the land underneath a homestead on a farm or ranch is taxed. So currently, a home that's on ag land, which is class 3 property, so all of your farmsteads is classified as Class 3, which is agricultural land. And that has a lot lower tax rate, as you could imagine, than Class 4, which is residential property. This bill will change that will change the land underneath to Class 4, residential. Of course, what that means to you out in the country is that it's going to be a big tax increase on you. And of course, our arguments are homesteads out on a farm or ranch are much different than a homestead in town. You can't, most of the time now that we live out in the country, we built that house there because it's next to our corrals, our barns, our place of employment, our ranch. And it's oftentimes surrounded by private land. It is far from town. And all of these things mean that the likelihood of you deciding to sell it to someone and someone buying it and paying top dollar residential value for your house 40 miles in the country is very low. So we don't think that that's a fair way to tax farm and ranch land underneath the homes. And it is going to be, it might be a challenge to get this one stopped. So take a look at it. Talk to your legislators ahead of time. It's always good to do work ahead of time. And we'll keep you posted next week on how it goes. So if anybody has any questions, this is a good time to list them. Otherwise, we will quit bothering you and head up to the Capitol and start bothering legislators. No, we don't really bother them. We just talk to them. I hope we aren't bothered.
So yeah, throw your questions out there. We'd love to answer them. We are getting really close to the transmittal date in Helena. We actually only have one full week left in this first part of the transmittal, and the transmittal deadline is apparently a little bit somewhat fluid maybe this session, which is kind of unusual that leadership would be considering changing the transmittal date, but right now it is still set for, I believe, February 24th or 25th. There was some talk of pushing it to the first couple days of March, but now it's back to the very end of February. So we are, thankfully neither of us had plane tickets bought for transmittal date, so people that did may be sweating bullets a little bit. But
Actually, I do, because I'm taking a bunch of our, we have 5 members that are serving on the issue advisory committees for the American Farm Bureau. Those meetings are the very end of February and beginning of March in Washington, D.C., and we also have Hill visits scheduled and a bunch of things. So initially that looked like it was going to be perfect timing because it was over the transmittal deadline. And I'm excited to take our members back there. They do great work on those advisory committees for American Farm Bureau. And we look forward to being able to meet with our congressional delegation. Hopefully it won't affect the time up here. But part of the reason that this date is a little fluid is because this legislature is trying to save days. They predict that there might be some federal legislation passed this session, or this Congress, that will have an effect on the states, and they want to be able to come back and address anything with consequences to the states. And they haven't been working Saturdays to save some days. So there's going to be some talks about rule changes. That's up to the legislature. We just sit back and watch and act accordingly. So it looks like we have another question about the next calling on the Capitol event. That's a great question.
Yeah, so the next, even before the calling on the Capitol event, we are going to have our Council of Presidents. So that's going to be March 7th and 8th here in Helena. Followed right behind that is the spring MFBF Board of Directors meeting. So all you county presidents out there, this is your Facebook Live reminder to please take a look at that agenda. The crew at the office in Bozeman have worked really hard on putting together a good agenda for you guys, and we're excited to have you all here in town. So make sure you get registered and call the office and talk to Sue Ann, or you can call Lena too if you've got any questions about getting registered for that. The next Calling on the Capitol event is going to be March 20th and 21st here in Helena. So we encourage anybody who is interested in seeing what goes on here at the Capitol to please come and join us. Even if you've been a lifetime Farm Bureau member, you're a brand new member this year, we'd love to show you around the Capitol and the legislative process. In addition, on that event, the Women's Leadership Committee is going to be serving breakfast to legislators one morning. I think they're getting some yummy cinnamon rolls lined up for everybody. So that's a great event to be a part of too, a really great opportunity to get some time with legislators and visit with them over a cinnamon roll and a cup of coffee, and we've got a great program planned for you there too. So we hope you can join us, and look for more information on that one in the next couple of weeks. With that, I think we have effectively and efficiently stalled long enough. So again, if you watch the replay and you have questions, we do check these comments and we will gladly get back to you and answer them. So please let us know what you've got. And we look forward to being live with you guys and seeing everybody again this time, Friday morning, 10 a.m. You can like our schedule, follow our live feed so you get these updates and you never miss us. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good weekend.